Okay, we are live.
We are live.
My name is Matt. I'm with the channel Jayo Nation. We are streaming live. That's my radio voice. We are streaming live on 3 channels. We're streaming on obviously the Jayo Nation if you're watching on my channel, but we're also streaming on
Barrett channel. So yeah, Ollie's
Barrett.
been on a hike today and he's absolutely shattered. So he's in the comments and I'm in the stream. And then we have
Mexicanos en China. Hola,
amigos. And
let
me, yeah. Buenos dias, everybody.
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias. We have just finished a trip to Xi'an province and the area around Xi'an. If you guys saw the stream that we attempted to do, was that yesterday?
It was, yesterday morning.
Jeez.
Feels like a week ago, but it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Right?
What a mess.
We had a major issue in the connection in the hotel, didn't we?
We were running around with these two over here were running around. One person had my camera, the other person had my laptop, and we were running around. Everybody had their phone out, and we were trying to find a place that had some sort of connection, but to no avail. And then eventually we all kind of, had to take flights, and we ended up having to leave the hotel, and we rearranged, and we're doing it this way. So it is what it is. So the reason we wanted to make this video was because we went through this recent trip that was organized by an organization called CRI. And if you had watched a few of our live streams a few days ago, we had some problems getting onto a mountain called Huashan. And funnily, I referred to it as Huashan Mountain, which is kind of stupid because Shan means mountain. So Huashan Mountain, Shan Mountain, Shan. So we were headed we were headed to Huashan, and when we got there, we weren't allowed to go because of some rule that was probably in place at the beginning of the pandemic that was never corrected or ratified. And when we made these streams, we came off as a bit entitled, maybe, as a bit frustrated, and I think that the problem was that those streams lacked a lot of context. So
yeah, I mean, I had a number of comments. I had quite a balanced but a lot was saying that, you shouldn't be entitled. You think you're in China, you need to obey to the rules. And I really want to get over the context, and that I actually kind of feel the rule was a bit silly. I appreciate we have to stick with the rules, but we were kind of led into a situation that kind of wasn't of our own making. It wasn't though we just turned up there of our own accord and gone, oh, well, we can't get in, and then sort of kicked up a fuss. There was a lot leading up to that, and that's what we want to explain on this stream, yeah?
Yeah. So let me lay some groundwork. We were offered an opportunity to do a promotional trip. We had done, actually, Lee and Ollie had done one that we kind of cooperated on in Chongqing, and we had been. I'd done one with Kirk in Guangxi, and I've done many events like this before. Mexicanos in China. This was your first one, right?
First time, guys. Well, if you count yesterday, then this is the second.
Okay. Well, it's not always like this, because what normally happens is the organizers send you a list of things that they think you might be interested in, and then you can edit that list if you want and say, no, I'd like to do maybe this or this, and then you agree on a schedule, and then they invite you to their city, and they cover some of your expenses, all of your expenses basically. They provide you with an opportunity to go the places that you want to go, and they let you make videos. And it's a great thing for them because they get cool foreign YouTubers to spread some interesting information about their area to the world, and you get some content for your channel, which is hopefully interesting and watchable. So it's
I'd just like to chime in on that. Sometimes when it's organized, you actually get to see things that you wouldn't normally see because they're able to take you to places that you may not know about. So that's a kind of bonus of going on the organized tours. When you sometimes go on your own, you're not always you tend to sort of go to more of the touristy places or the more well-known places, whereas when you go with these groups, they are able to take you to sort of some of the more not so well-known places that are very, very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, like I'll show you a picture of an interesting experience that we had. That I don't think we could have. I don't think we could have had an experience with this troupe of. They were like a third actor. They were a third clown act. And they were a third musical performance. It was a very, very interesting thing on the edge of the elevator.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was
pretty neat. Lee, just real quick, your focus is on your microphone, not on your face.
Oh, okay. Let's.
I don't know if you can fix that, but give it a go.
Okay.
Anyways, the crew at Shanxi did the same thing, and they sent us a schedule with a bunch of things that we thought we would be interested in. And they had 3 of probably the most notable things that you can do in Xi'an in this area. Number 1, was the Terracotta Warriors.
Yeah.
And that was something I had been to already, but I was really excited to go because I know a lot of you guys haven't been there before either.
Yeah, I've never been there.
Yeah, and you, half of you guys haven't been there, right? Noel, you hadn't been there, but Max
no.
I'd been there. Yeah, like 15 years ago was my first time. It's completely changed, but it was nice.
A good reminder. It was a good reminder.
Yeah.
So there was a Terracotta Warriors. There was the wall that extended around the city, a trip to the city wall, which is very amazing. The wall is incredible. You guys missed out a lot on not going to that wall. And then the third one was Huashan, which if you know about this mountain, you might have seen it. It's got the most dangerous hike in the world, or one of the most dangerous hikes in the world. It's called a plank walk, and they have a plank that's like basically it's about this wide, and it goes along
12
a sheer rock
inches or
face.
something, right?
Yeah. It goes along a sheer rock face. You clip into it, and you basically have to scuttle along this rock face. So when we got the schedule, I mean, and Lee had mentioned this before, right? You probably would have. That was one of the major considerations.
Yeah,
the
2 things for me was the Terracotta Warriors, because I've not seen that before, and Huashan. Those, it was kind of. I'll put up with the others because they were kind of more sort of speechy, governmenty things. Because I mean that for me, the highlight was Huashan. But, the Terracotta Warriors was also high up there on the list too.
Yeah, the adventure, we were all looking forward to it. And even more after hearing Wei Fang saying that how dangerous it was, right, Matt?
Yeah,
Fighting for it.
We were at lunch, and Wei Fang's like, you don't want to go to the mountain. It's dangerous. I'm like, you keep saying it's dangerous. I'm going to keep wanting to go more and more and more. That's kind of how I work.
So for anybody that doesn't know, Wei Fang is Guelo's 60s wife, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And
I'm sure you all know, but just in case.
Wei Fang is super awesome. You know what? I don't have a picture of her in this. Was she in this picture?
No,
she's not. She's
no,
not there.
No, she's not on there.
Anyways, so now make sure to understand that this is a government organization that was doing this trip. So on the original schedule, Huashan was listed. So the assumption had to have been made by all of us that Huashan is going to be a very feasible event. So, obviously if they had listed it and they had us doing it, then it was something that was feasible. And so we all had that locked in our heads. Then the trip started and everything sort of got shifted around, right?
Yeah.
Anybody want to talk about that when it first started?
Well, yeah, I think, we went to this sort of government thing. I think there was meant to be a trip to the wall, which didn't happen. That was on the first evening, wasn't it? But we got back so late, I think, that it was decided we were going to can that because we were all so tired. We'd literally been out since 7 o'clock in the morning on the road. We'd been bussed to a few different locations. But I think it wasn't until the second day they started talking about cutting the trip short by a day. and taking Huashan off, but there was no real reason given for that. I don't think. I don't remember a reason given for that. Does anybody else?
They had to fit in more propaganda visits.
Yeah, but they didn't say that, did they? But that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. What ended up happening was the things that we wanted to do got pushed to the side, and the things that they wanted us to do took major priority. And the things they wanted us to do did not have anything to do with us making our videos. It was mostly them making their content, and we became sort of figureheads, you know.
Yeah, so the way it works is they take you to various areas and they show you things. And okay, some of those things are quite interesting. However, they're kind of things that won't make a video necessarily, but they like to snap, you know, pictures of us there for their media, you know, so that they will put it in their local newspapers, they put it on their local websites to say that, you know, foreigners are visiting the area and blah, blah, blah. But it's not things that we can easily make content from. And they sometimes don't understand that. They do, and they ignore it. I'm not quite sure. I think sometimes they don't really understand that. I think they think you can make a video about literally absolutely anything, but you can't really, I mean, you know.
This is sort of what we were looking at when we were, you know, traveling around. We were being photographed constantly and documented. Exactly. And even to the extent to where we were trying to make our videos and people were pulling at our shoulders and saying, no, we're finished. We need to go. Interrupting the videos that we were making, right? Didn't that happen with you, Max? You could talk about that. That was at the granary, right?
Yeah, it happened a lot, like, especially to Noelia and me, because, I mean, since it's our first time, we didn't know what it was all about. And we were like, oh, we're on this amazing trip, so we'd better, like, answer all of their questions, take all the pictures. Like, you remember I got the first, when we got to that ceremony, and I was, like, I had to give, like, a speech. And I heard about the speech just, like, maybe 10 hours before I had to give it, like 12 a.m. And I was like, wow, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. And they wanted me to read it in Chinese. So I think that set up, like, the pace for the rest of the trip. Like, we were just going to stand there and do whatever they wanted us to do and take the pictures where they wanted us to take the pictures, right?
Yeah, just to make it clear, there's nothing about speeches on the original schedule at all. You know, that's like sprung on you kind of on the day, wasn't it, Max?
Yeah. So I also, just like kind of changed it a little bit.
And also, to clarify, this is the reason why we're making this video is because this is not normal. You hear from different people online that these quote unquote white monkey jobs happen all the time, and they push you around and they bully you and they, you know, make you do propaganda and stuff. And the reason we're making this video is because it was sort of a shocking trip for all of us. And we were like, whoa, this is not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a win-win, where we, of course, doing some speeches and talking about, I'll give another example. There was a point when we got to a hotel and they said, Matt, you're going to give a speech. And and I was like, okay, I'll give a speech. You know, what do you want me to say? It was Xi'an was the city we were at, and I was like thinking that it's just going to be some statistics. Xi'an is a population of, 50,000 villagers, and was started in some date many thousands of years ago. That's okay, I can say that. But the speech that they gave me was, "Hi, my name is Matt. I am 40 years old. I love the culture of Xi'an, and the people here are very nice." And it was a bunch of technical terms. They were I was literally speaking I hadn't even seen the city yet. so they were asking me
the night before.
Yeah, they were asking me to say things that I hadn't even been able to. I said, listen, I'm not going to read this for you. This is not. If you want to take us around the city or the village, and then you want to put me up on stage and ask me what I think, then of course I can do that. But I'm most certainly not going to spit out whatever verbiage that you want me to spit out. And that was just it. Basically, all the things we wanted to do took second chair, and and were taken away from us. And the things that, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and what they also did after that speech, they got a number of sort of products and businesses. Then it was like, oh, just hold this and say that you endorse this product, kind of thing. And you know, they got Ollie doing a few of these where they wanted to sort of endorse products that we'd literally seen 5 minutes ago and didn't know nothing about. And that's not to say those products were bad in any way, but we just didn't really know anything about them. So, you know, it was a bit of a stretch, really.
Yeah, we are pretty new in this, so we got to do lots of those,
like memorizing Chinese phrases. For you remember like the stone bread, they had me there like for 15 minutes trying to memorize a Chinese word. And I was feeling so bad because I was like, I should be able to, right? I'm studying Chinese. Then I found out it's a dialect in some of my videos comments.
Yeah,
so that's why.
I just lost my light, so I'm sorry. I'm a bit
dark. You are the experienced one, Matt. Like you were the one saying like stepping up for the group, right? Like, hey, we don't want to do this.
Well, you know what? Do you want me to talk about the effing boring?
Yes, please. That was fun.
We were sitting around. We were sitting around the dinner table.
This is on the first evening, wasn't it? Yeah.
This is the first evening, and they had taken us. I actually started working on the videos, guys, on this, and I started thinking about our schedule on the first day. Holy moly, they had us going like 7 different places, and it was all like like a big banner with Chinese script on it and diagrams on how they do hydro cooling or some sort of heating. And the person comes up with one of those speakers, and she's reading the entire thing in Chinese, which none of us understand. And I looked around, and the only people there were taking pictures of us, looking at this banner being read to. I'm like, all this is just a staged photo thing. It's not even. We don't even know if it's interesting or not because we don't know what the heck people are saying.
What's going on? Yeah.
So the end of the day, we get to the final dinner, and I wasn't drinking or anything, but I was kind of frustrated, and I'm sitting on the table, and I said, you know, hey guys, I really don't want to. I don't want to be mean or anything. She says, so what did you think of the day? And I said, you know, and I'm sorry, I'm going to swear here. I said, it was pretty fucking boring.
Yes.
Exactly like that.
Say that.
It came out of my mouth before I could think about what I said, and I was like, oh, well, I'm sorry about that, but it really was. If you want us to make better videos, you got to take us places that are interesting. And at that point in time, I still thought we were there for us, but we were really there for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so, and it took some time to understand that because it was shocking. I've done many of these trips, and most of the time they're much more balanced than this. Anyways, the other time I put my foot down was when I did that speech, and I said, I am not going to do this speech. I will not read it. If you want me to read a speech, I will say, and I gave them an option. I said, hi guys, my name's Matt. I've been in China a while. I'm really excited to look at your village. I can see it's got interesting things to it, and China has many beautiful places, and I want to add your place to the list, and I'm looking forward to looking at it. I says, I can say that. I can say
because
that.
It's actually true.
But I'm not going to put words in my mouth. And you know what they did? What did they do? Because I met you guys at breakfast, and what happened?
Everything changed. Like the next day was completely different, and the whole
No. I mean the speech at breakfast. They gave you they told you to read.
Yeah, they asked you to do it, didn't they?
Yeah.
So instead of telling me, okay, you can say what you want, they went down to these two guys and they said,
ask Max to do it. Yeah. So.
yeah. So, anyways, so
they were
okay.
like, they're the
so
new
yeah,
people. They will say yes.
Yeah.
So on day 2, then there was talk of taking Huashan off. They kind of announced it, didn't they, on the bus on day 2, and we were all kind of a bit pissed about that because you know we all wanted to do that. So sort of, I think the following day, then we started to talk amongst ourselves, didn't we? That maybe we will stay on for an additional day.
I think I brought it up, right? I was like,
yeah.
I don't know what anybody else is doing, but I'm climbing that damn mountain, because that is something that I really wanted to
do. Yeah.
And so they started to cooperate with helping us to plan to go on the mountain.
They did.
So, the government of individuals who originally set the mountain up for us on this trip were saying, okay, well, if you want to go, you're going to have to take the fast train from Xi'an, or we can drop you off somewhere closer. They were helping us with the logistics of getting to the mountain outside of the trip that they had originally planned us to go on the mountain.
That's right. And ultimately, they ended up actually changing the flights. We didn't all want to go. So Guelo and Wei Fong decided not to go. Eric decided not to go. But myself, Matt, Max, and Noelia, we decided we were going to go and do the mountain. And Ollie, of course. And they facilitated changing our flight schedules.
And trains and everything.
And everything, so we could stay that extra day to go to the mountain. They said they didn't have enough time, so we could do it on our own time, which we decided to do. So we then booked additional night at the hotel, which we had to pay for ourselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was $60 a room.
It wasn't the cheapest of hotels. And we then had to buy. We had the cost of the taxis to the station and back from the station, the cost of the high-speed trains.
$20 both ways.
It all adds up, and bear in mind this is 5 people, so the cost adds up. And then we got up at kind of 5 o'clock on that following morning. I had to do without breakfast because it was too early for breakfast being served. And then what happened? The first we heard of a problem was when we were getting off the train, wasn't it? And we went to buy the hats and gloves. Remember?
Oh yeah, I was buying hats with Ollie, and somebody suddenly a guy came and he was like, "They're not gonna let you on up the mountain." And I was like, "What? Why not?" And he was like, "No, because you need the Chinese ID." And somehow I thought it might be a scam, because I've been through that in Thailand, where they tell you it's the Buddha day, you can't go up there. Let me take you somewhere else. You take my taxi, I'll take you somewhere nice. So we just kept going, right? But that was the first time we heard it, and we didn't believe it.
Yeah, taxi scams are pretty common. Hey, you don't want to go to that mountain. They won't let foreigners anyway. But my brother, he's got a pretty cool ride down the street, and we'll take you down there for a couple of hundred RMB.
Yeah, so that's pretty common stuff in China.
So in order to climb this mountain, I'm just going to reiterate what Lee said, because I think that's important. Each of us, this was so we could do the thing that was told to us that we were going to be part of this trip, that we really I did this trip in large part to do this mountain. I would have maybe not done the trip had the mountain not been part of the trip.
That's the same here. And when we were negotiating this extra day, at no time did CRI is China Radio International, but at no time did they raise any doubt that we wouldn't be able to go up the mountain, did they? They changed the flights and that, but there was no mention at all about, oh guys, there might be a problem. Not at all. Not even one word. It was, cool. Yeah, we'll change your flights, but you've got to make your own way there, which is what we did.
Yeah, I guess you could even say there was encouragement on their part.
Yeah,
it was basically okay, we'll help you.
And give us some information.
So Max, why don't you tell everybody what happened when we got to the mountain? Because you were critical in that moment to do what we were doing. So why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, so we tried to get the tickets. So I was asking, and then they told me and it's impossible. You can't get a ticket because you don't have the Chinese ID. And I mean, in China, you have a QR code. We showed it in some of the live streams. And I told her, we all have our green codes, we have our passports, we can prove that we have been in China for a long time. And we came here on this activity to make some videos and promote the Shanxi province. And
just to stop you a second, Max, there's a point here that we all came from different parts of China. So to actually get there, we had to travel on trains, planes, buses. We stayed in hotels and we ate in restaurants. We mixed with government officials throughout the previous 4 days. Many times there was no masks necessary. And the whole thing about us not going on the mountain, I had a lot of comments that said, oh, because the mountain's dangerous and that. It was nothing to do with how dangerous the mountain was. This was specifically a COVID issue. So I just wanted to add that in before you carry on, Max.
Yeah, exactly. And so I asked her, like, what is the difference between our passports and our codes and Shenfenzheng, they call it, the Chinese ID. And she told me, like, only Chinese people are allowed to go on the mountain right now at this moment because of the virus. And I said, but I don't really see a lot of difference between a foreigner who's been living here and working here for a long time and someone who was born in China, except for the fact that we're foreigners. And she said, like, yeah, I understand, and it doesn't really make sense to me either, but it's the rule. So then I just let her know that we were on this activity, that we wanted to promote the Shanxi province, that we wanted to make some videos to just to let people know how cool this place is. And as soon as I told her that, she told me, how many subscribers do you have? So Ollie showed his phone, and he was like, well, we have like almost 200,000. He has 100,000. And then she changed, and she was like, okay, let me make some calls. Maybe I can help you out. And they did send us like to the hospital, you remember? And she told me, like, yeah, they already authorized the fact that you get to go up. So you just have to go to the hospital. They're going to check your passports, and they're going to make sure you've been here for enough time, and then you get to go up. And I think that's when we started to get a little bit frustrated, right? Just like going around. You want to keep on, Matt?
Yeah, I was getting frustrated at that point. I was seeing that the time was ticking past, and you know, when you climb a mountain, you want to start early so that you can get up at the top, so you can enjoy it. If you get into the afternoon, you know, if you're on top at altitude, even a couple of thousand meters up, and it gets late, it gets cold. And we were not ready for that sort of cold. And I was getting sort of frustrated because I also knew that we were going to make videos on it. And, you know, if you make videos, it's going to tack on another hour or 2 hours to the trip if you kind of have fun. And so we're sitting here in front of this hospital, and I'm like, time's ticking away, and I'm just getting really frustrated. And I'm thinking, you know what, let's just nix this. And we had to sign these disclaimers in Chinese, and the disclaimers were to get our nucleic acid tests, you know, get our COVID tests. And the disclaimer had 48-hour turnaround on it. And
yeah.
I'm like,
it became obvious at that point. They were just kind of, the management at the mountain had just passed us on to another department. And actually, it fell. We must have stood at the hospital for more than 2 hours, and nothing was happening. They were just milling around. They wouldn't even let us in the hospital to sit down and wait there. And it became obvious that they were kind of giving us the runaround. And then I think somebody a little bit more senior got involved, didn't they?
Yeah, we were actually getting help from our account. We were live streaming at the moment. Like everybody was live streaming at that moment.
Yeah, because we were a bit unhappy.
Crazy. Yeah. And so we were all complaining, and there was Chinese sort of officials coming up, and police were coming up, and some of them were trying to be very helpful. But it was also, I was getting a little nervous. Anytime, like, I'm an American, police come up, I'm gonna get a little sketchy, you know, especially, you know.
I just want to add one thing in. We actually did contact CRI.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Go ahead.
They pretty much really just kind of washed their hands of it, didn't they? It was totally. Like, you know, they didn't want anything to do with it at that point. And even when we asked, say, look, well, you know, we've spent all this extra money. Are you prepared to?
They talked to me. Yeah.
To like, sort of refund it, you know.
Well, Lee was talking to, and everybody, and Max was talking to the doctors and everything. I get a call from the liaison at CRI, and I'm like, now this is this is funny because we have pushed buttons on our own and actually made some sort of forward progress. We had complaints, and then you showed pictures of officials, and then we were able to get to the hospital, and they were starting to move things around. Obviously, we know that they were just kind of pushing us in circles, but at least it was something. CRI gets on the. I get on the phone with CRI, and they're like, "Yeah, you can't go. We just checked. It's right on their website." It's like I'm like, okay. And then she says, and you know, I just want to let you know something. You know, we moved your flights one day, and we covered the fee for moving your flights one day. And, you know, that pretty much spent our budget. So there's no money left for any sort of hotel cover or the train or the hat and gloves that we had to buy for the mountain that we couldn't climb now, and the taxi rides back and forth and the trip to the hospital and all of this stuff that we shouldn't have even had to do because they should have said to us long before, oh, yeah, you can't climb that mountain. It's not allowed.
Yeah.
You know, if they would have preempted us by saying, yeah, we took the mountain off the trip because we have this weird archaic rule.
Yeah.
We would have never gotten, this would have been a non-issue, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I still have trouble with that. We're fighting to travel on a plane and stay in hotels and stuff like that, which are all indoors. Yet you can't go on a mountain, which is outdoors. Because of a risk of coronavirus. To me, that just seems now. I understand what people are saying. The rules are the rules, but I think, you know, in these sort of situations, I feel that somebody more senior should have been alerted, and it would have just been common sense to say, look, you know, it's fine. They've been here. They've traveled here. Let them go up the mountain, and everything will be okay. And it's nothing to do with privilege or anything like that. It's just, to me, it seems to be common sense, you know?
Yeah.
I
guess it's hard to understand.
Okay, go ahead, Max.
No, nothing. I'm just saying, like, let's imagine when we came back at the airport and then we took a train from Hongqiao to Suzhou. It was full, like the station was full. And we've noticed that, especially here, sometimes a lot of people are not even wearing their masks anymore in the stations. And it's like closed space. And in our trip, we had like dinner with people. We went in hotels. And so it's hard to understand when you're at the base of the mountain. And I mean, it's an open space, right? But I guess one of the most important things that made us a little bit frustrated was the fact that at some point they didn't say no. They just kept saying, like, go to this place and then go to this place and then go to this place. There was not a direct no, like, no, stop. No, there was just
they gave us the runaround. It was just like they were trying to run down the clock because then they knew it would have been too late. So we actually pretty much wasted most of the day, didn't we? You know, we've been up since 5. We were tired and.
Well, I just want to make one note, and this is something I told Lee. I think that what happened, and me and Lee, we were kind of batting back and forth because I was kind of empathizing with the situation of the people that were trying to quote unquote help us, and Lee was like, what is going on, you know? So what I think is Chinese followed the rules very literally. There's no flexibility, right? And when this pandemic started to explode in Wuhan, they had to come up with laws for everything from food delivery, grocery shopping, using the bathroom, operating a bank. You would think about the amount of rules that you had to make in order to control this pandemic the way that they have. It must have been crazy. And so they looked at this. They looked at public mountains and they said, okay, whatever, we'll just make sure they have that second form of ID. And I don't think that they considered foreigners even going to the mountain at that point in time. The problem was that no one came back and ratified the rule and kind of looked at it a second time and said, we need to update this thing so that, you know, people aren't being, you know, turned away for obviously unfair reasons. Because I do agree with you guys that it was unfair that we couldn't go on the mountain. But I also kind of understood. You know, when I had to go to quarantine, when I came back from the United States, I was thinking about this. When I came back and I had to go to the quarantine hotel, they were just coming up with the new regulations for how to quarantine. And they took my wife and my child, and they separated us and put them in another hotel room. And they separated me, and they put me in another hotel room. And to me, that was like ludicrous. Why would you do that? So I ended up quarantining separate from my family for 14 days, but it was a rule that was made during a chaotic situation, and somebody just said, this is what it's going to be. And I think that mountain thing was probably one of the same sets of rules. It didn't make sense, but no one changed it.
And I think the upshot of this really is the fault, in my mind, lies with CRI. They should have been aware of any issues because they originally had it on the schedule. So surely if they had it on the schedule, they would have checked that it was okay to go. Did they just put it on the schedule? Because if they just put it on the schedule with no intent to do it, then they wouldn't have checked it. But it just seems to me that because they put it on the schedule in the first place, you'd have thought it would have been checked out that it was okay for foreigners to. Similar when we went to the Terracotta Soldiers. If you remember, they had to go and get our tickets manually because their booking process, they were not able to register foreigners with their online app booking process because we didn't have Chinese IDs. The guide went to a window. We had to wait, didn't we, an extra few minutes before we could get in because she had to go to a window and actually physically buy the tickets because we were foreigners. And I would have assumed that would have been the same with the mountain, but obviously not, you know. So I think that was an issue for me. I just feel the fault lies with CRI and not the mountain or the authorities.
Yeah, but even if you think about it, like, okay, let's say that they found out the middle of the trip that we're not allowed to go. That's okay if you say it, right? Like, hey guys, we just found out there's a new rule. We didn't know about it, so we're gonna change it, go somewhere else. That's fine for me, right? It's just the fact that they just encourage us to keep going. And
that's the crazy thing. Yeah, I mean, it's mad. You'd have thought they would have checked. So I just say I personally lay the blame with CRI, not anybody else. And you know, I did do a live stream, and I was a bit upset in that live stream, but that's due to the fact that we'd sort of built our hopes up. You know, we'd been up since 5 o'clock that morning. We've been given the runaround. Again, a bit, you know, stressed and not happy by that point. And I felt I was kind of valid in my sort of what I said. It's not that I was whining and I expected to be privileged because I'm a foreigner in China. It was just, I thought, a very stupid rule that had somebody have spoke to the right people, it could have been sorted out quite quickly, because it was obviously we'd got our green health codes, we got our visas and passports. We'd been in China for a considerable length of time. We were no more risk than Chinese people who were going on there.
Yeah, I think it's also like a part of living abroad, right? Like this frustration of not really being able to speak the language, because as you say, I'm pretty sure that if we got to the right person, we would have been able to get in. But just like that even motivates me more to, like, you have to keep learning Chinese, right? In order
sure, yeah. I mean, your Chinese is much more advanced than mine. I'm pretty poor on the Chinese. It's something I need to address. But yeah, I mean, I just felt it was kind of a crazy situation, you know. It was sad. We ended up coming away with it without being able to go up the mountain. And I will return at some point because I really want to do it. Are you okay, Max?
Yeah, just for
it's still there.
But I'm okay. And I think in the end, the most important part is that we ended up making a good experience out of it. Like, we just found a way to turn it around because we were together. And
that's right. We had a good time. I also want to say that the people from CRI who looked after us, the sort of the people that was with us on the trip, they were really good. I appreciate they're not the decision makers. So it's not having a go at them. They did what they could, but they were kind of like the messengers rather than the person at the top making the decision. I was a little bit annoyed that when we couldn't get in, that CRI didn't seem to want to do very much to help the situation. Like Max said, we did more to sort of advance the situation ourselves, which was a bit disappointing for me by CRI. But you know, it is what it is. we'll go back at some point because that's somewhere I'd really like to go. But as Max said, we had a great time, didn't we? We had
yeah. In the end, what makes the trip is always the people, and like it doesn't even matter where we went. I just like the fact that we got to interact with the people. If you think like the people making the bread and between each other, Chinese people are just great, and I think that's what made our trip worth it. So I'm pretty happy that it happened the way it happened. Even with the mountain, it made a great experience. And as I said, we can use it as fuel and as a way to try to understand better how things work here, and just keep making great content. That's what we've been doing so far.
Absolutely. So I just want to address a super chat that I've had from Fat KY. He says, please keep raising awareness and speaking out against propaganda. I hope this video will get the attention of local officials and get them fired. Well, not necessarily wanting to get people fired, but I do think that sometimes there is a problem with sort of dealing with these things, that nobody wants to take responsibility and you get passed around and around and around. And I think that's what makes it even more frustrating. You know, if at some point when we're at that mountain, we'd have had somebody senior come and say, look, I'm sorry, but there's no way you can go up because we can't. We'd have probably accepted it easily. You know, we were taxied off to the hospital. Then they says, oh, we might be able to get you up. They sent us somewhere else. You know, and then it was lunchtime, so we had to wait 2 hours. And then it was like the guy there even seemed to just be going through the motions of making phone calls and nothing happened. You know, it was just being passed from one place to another, really. So, yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back, Matt.
Yeah, you're good, Matt.
I mean, I don't know what I missed here, but I'm sorry. I'm on VPN. The only way I could get back was to turn on the VPN.
How strange. I just sort of explained that, you know, that the people from CRI, all the sort of people who were with us on the trip were fine. Obviously, they're just a messenger.
Yeah.
You know, it is the people higher up that must sort of more of a grievance with, because they, you know, one, they didn't sort of make it us aware that we might not be able to get up the mountain, and two, that when we had a problem, they didn't seem to want to help a great deal.
Thank you for the super chat very much. I don't see a name on it.
Thank you, Joe and Lai.
You know, certainly this video should help you guys to understand that we try to be balanced. Like, if we were the proper shills, quote unquote, that a lot of people refer to us as, this would be the normal, right, Lee? I mean,
absolutely. You know,
this would be just another chill trip that we can go on and talk of propaganda for the, you know, for the, you know, for the X, you know, company and CCP and all this garbage. But it's the rarity of this and the impact it had on us shows that it was a unique situation, and that we want to bring it up because we will bring it up. It's just very rarely happens, you know.
And I think, you know, I had some sort of the comments on the live stream were fairly balanced, but I just want to say to the people that were sort of negative, if they think I'm going to have a channel that only ever talks about the good things and never talks about the negative, then I think they need to be watching a different channel, because I will document my experiences here, whether they're good or bad. And in this particular instance, I felt the experience was not good. And I feel it's important to let people know about that. I hope certain people will learn by that experience.
Okay. Okay. You having said that is the perfect lead-in to what I wanted to say, which is we had a great time on this trip, and you're going to watch videos. We're going to watch videos of things that we did on this trip that will put a smile on your face, because they put a smile on our faces. And, you know, it kind of runs counter to what Lee just said, that, like, you know, we were kind of like unhappy with the trip. We were unhappy with the management of the trip. But what I like to say is that there were lemons all over the place, right? Like these lemon situations that were like, ugh. but we squeezed them and we found really, because that's what we do. I mean, all of us, Noelia, Max, Ali, Lee, Guelo, and even Eric, our new friend who is doing photography. We're all pretty optimistic people, you know, and so you know we were able to find moments. So I'm going to shuffle through some pictures of our trip, and these pictures, a lot of them were taken by Eric, a guy Eric who went along with us, and this will give you a bit of a preview of what to expect when we do start editing the video from this trip, which will be wonderful. I think actually Mexicanos in China just put out their first video, right? You just put out your first video of the walking street.
We have you speaking Spanish, Matt.
yeah.
That was good Spanish.
Yeah. I rolled my tongue.
You did.
So let me go through some of these pictures and we'll wrap it up. I think we've kind of said our piece, right, Lee?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think overall, like Matt just said, that the trip was good, and that was because we mixed with good people and we enjoyed each other's company and we had a good time, and we saw some good stuff that we wouldn't have seen, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's kind of a small negative in a number of positives, really.
Yeah, and as you said, Lee, like we have to talk about everything. Hey, that's an amazing picture. And by the way, I have a super chat here by Calibre Wing.
Okay, go ahead.
Saying like he's volunteering.
Let me see if I can see it.
Oh, can you see it? He's volunteering to be the photographer in the next trip.
Great.
Oh, Calibre? Is that Calibre?
Yeah.
Yeah. Show that.
Calibre, yeah. I got it from Calibre Wings.
Yeah, I can't show it. There we go. Oh, I'm lagging.
There you go.
All right.
So
Calibre Wings.
We're gonna show you what you're competing against, Calibre. Check out these pictures.
Okay, yeah. Let's check these out. So first off, we had an amazing noodle experience. There was no noodles in those chopsticks, but he was acting. That was a very interesting fella, eh?
Yeah. Imaginary noodles.
Yeah, it was very, very cool. Did you know, Mac? You saw him on the mountain, right? The next day on Huashan.
Yeah,
or did you not see him?
No, we saw him. You were live streaming. Yeah. I think he's in your live stream.
I got him on tape.
Yeah, he was very, very cool. And then we went to a granary, which was pretty, humdrum. It was historical and interesting, but they had these puppets that were doing their puppet show, and this was very, very cool. I mean,
that's a good thumbnail there, huh, Lee?
Yeah. These are
that was a awesome puppet show, man. It was really impressive.
Those puppets articulated in ways that made me really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like they were very, very human-like movements. It was kind of spooky.
They were very realistic.
That was a good speech, Matt.
That was a good speech. Oh, you know, did we wrap that up? You know, that speech, nobody would do it according to what they wanted us to say. So they ended up coming back to me, hat in hand, and said, "Okay, you can say what you want to say." And so when I did, it came off really well, and I think everybody there really appreciated it. And
he said it all in Chinese.
Yeah, I spoke in only Chinese. It was pretty good. You'll actually see me do the speech when I finish the episode. But all of these, and all of these actors and dancers and businessmen in the area were there, and I didn't want to, sometimes that propaganda, it might be, it might have. The purpose of it was to promote the city, and all of these people in that picture were working hard and were very happy to be there. And all they wanted to do was show us the dance that they had, or the food that they made, or the arts and crafts that they made. And, I didn't want to make them feel uncomfortable because we felt uncomfortable because of this crazy event,
Of course not.
Here's another picture. We were at the Terracotta Soldiers, and that was pretty interesting, eh?
Yeah, I really wanted to go because I've never been here.
First time out of Suzhou in a year.
And then there was this strange experience with the vegetable king.
Yeah.
It's definitely a highlight.
There's a good dance of that.
Still,
I mean, so that's me, but facing outwards Yeah, these people. So that's what I was looking at while I was eating those vegetables. I was just being mobbed. It was a very, very interesting story, and you'll see that as well. Let's see what else we've got. This situation. Oh, this was a lot of this. There was a lot of this. People taking pictures of us. We had a moment where we actually found a group of kids. This was an instance that was a total surprise. So this was not even planned. We basically saw these kids, and they were so sweet. The one with the one over my shoulder, the one with the black hat. He kept trying to hug me over and over and over.
He was trying to hug me too.
Cute, it was so lad. Nice, that kid. And then just one more. I mean, Eric gave us some fantastic shots. Like these, some of these shots are going to be really, really nice to
there's me.
include in social media. Yeah.
All the cameras.
Yeah. And all of us YouTubers with our cameras.
Yeah.
And we will end with what I've called the shill shot. This is probably going to be screen grabbed, and we're just going to have to deal with it. Here we go, the shill shot here. This is if you take the characters behind our heads, it basically says that we're international internet celebrities witnessing happiness of Shanxi people. So I mean, we made the best out of it. We met some interesting people, and I'm glad that I did go on it. It could have been run much, much better, and I just feel real good about being able to clarify it with all you guys and share this with everybody. So, good?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, good.
Okay, sounds good. We're pushing the time limit. Look forward to seeing all of our content on all of our channels because we're going to be. I got tons and tons and tons.
Yeah, we got a lot of content we did there, didn't we?
Loads of content.
Yeah.
So, anybody want? I'll just close it when we finish. So, Lee, you want to do it? A little.
Just as always, take care.
再见.
Next, 再见, and I'll see you later. Jayo, take it easy. Have a good day, and Biden. We'll see how.
Bye,
that
guys.
goes. Bye, guys.
Yeah. That's another conversation.
Yeah.